Up everybody, it's me Z8phyR. I'm coming at you with another tutorial on how I made this track right here. It's called Crystal Air. We made this live on stream on my Twitch, so come hang out with me at twitch.tv/Z8phyR and be a part of the community. If you want this project file, it will be available for my subscribers and supporters on my website, so be sure you check the description for your link to that, or check me out in Discord, as I'll let you know in the subscribers lounge. Okay, so we'll let this track play for just a second, and then I'll go over how I created it and my thought process behind it. All right. Oh, might as well just let it go for a little bit longer. All right, that's enough. That's enough showcasing. Well, anyways, this is Crystal Air, and we're going to talk a little bit about how we created this. Let me find the original concept here. All right, this is the original. This is how the concept was. Reason why I kind of do want to go over this track is because of how simple it started and to what it became. Where you may think is a couple of things I did a little differently for one. But let's just start with how I did the concept, because the concept here helped me pave the way for basically the entirety of the tune. So we can go ahead and give the concept itself a play, which the concept is, part of the melody. So you can see, like, sometimes a lot of times the concepts will make its way into the melody, but other times they won't. It goes both ways. So don't ever think that that concept has to be what it means. It's just whatever to get your feet off the ground and start getting your hands dirty into the song. Okay, so to think of it like that. Whatever you can start blueprinting and highlighting it out, then you can start putting your then you can start putting all the shininess on top of it. Okay, so let's play this out here. I just wanted to play it out because you can see, like, this is what I kind of like freestyled on the piano when I started. I actually went back in and added those little doo 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 doo, only because I heard that, like, in my head or something. Like I kind of heard that, but I just went and manually put that in. Anyways, So you can see though the track by itself, just this concept, there's there's still a lot of space to it. And what I mean by space is like you can go anywhere with this. Like I could have decided to go this way with it, but I could have decided to go a completely other way, and it probably still would have turned out fine, maybe even better. Like that's kind of how it works. But what I'm trying to say is, just because it's a concept, it doesn't define or cement the way your track has to go. Rather, it should give you a bunch of ideas and opportunities for you to explore in. So this gave me a bunch of those, and we started working on that. It's like basically it's like I could cut it there and say that's it, song's done, because all the rest of this is all because of that. But I'm not. I'm just kidding. So what I did here though was, well, I liked it so much what the little I like that sound so much that I decided to go ahead and lead the track with it. So we led the track with it, and basically, yeah, you can see they're just little pieces and bits of it that basically define that this is what I love the most about the track. This is a personal expression here. This is not because I knew X fan was gonna like this. You know what I mean? It's because I liked it and I wanted it to come in this way, and I focused on that part of it because I liked it. So this is what makes my songs like, well, interesting, is because while you focus on the things that you like about your music and you work on embellishing those, and you learn how to design yourself around that way, and you create really interesting melodic interpretations of everything. Anything. You could be given any kind of melody, and you'll create something interesting out of it, because you're not, you don't need, you just need a little bit. You don't need a lot, and that's why I always stress and fuss to people to be simple. Be simple, because you're gonna get super complicated as soon as you begin. So be really simple with your approach, and then you'll notice that it gets a lot more complicated as you keep doing this. So that's how it begins. The arps, which is like another key element here. And so we really kind of led the track with adding all the little kind of ear candy sort of space here to put into the track. So as I start the track off, I really knew that that was gonna be my pitch. Basically, I like little RP sounds. I like little frilly sounds. So I was just gonna lead with that stuff, and then reason why is because when a track has a real light, airy start, it's very smooth, bringing in like the lower elements. In my opinion, it's why I like to do it. But it's just, these are all like personal kind of thoughts, but maybe they'll help you. I don't know. And then we have a few other things going on here. Most importantly is the pad kind of comes in, and then the melody sort of comes in here. But what I'll do is we'll just keep going down my sound design process, because it'll be easier for me to just talk about this in conjunction rather than breaking you apart. So yeah, this is the ARP. Let me see what the piano was. Lounge Lizard piano. I'm pretty sure this is the free one. This is a free one that I found for stock, not stock, but a free third party thing, and I just kind of used it and created it. Of course, we got a lot going on in the mixer though. We got some EQ, a couple of EQs. These are two different filters. So this one is a low pass, because you can tell with the L low turned up, and then this one right here is a high pass. See, it has the high turned all the way up. And then we have another EQ filter on the bottom. So what this does is basically I like to add a little bit of extra EQ beneath my filters, just as padding, and also because pads. I mean, because when you start filtering, um, resonance starts to happen, because yeah, they just kind of, it just happens. I don't. So when the resonance happens, it can kind of sort of create these like notches of frequency spikes. So you got to kind of deal with them when they're resonate when you're filtering them in and out. So that's what you'll see me do with a lot of my mixing decisions in the EQ is I will always probably, I mean, in the mixer, I will always put a little EQ after the filters. That way I can have a little bit more control over just the making sure there's not too much going on here. And then stereo shaping is always something I like to do for a lot of instruments that occupy more of the upper registers here. This is kind of my zone of stereo shaping here. So if it's like it occupies this, I'm going to stereo shape it a little bit if it needs it. And then the side chain, as you can see, is turned off. There is no side chain at all for this in any event. Not even, I didn't even automate this knob or nothing. So there you go. And then we have it running to the reverb, and then we have it running to some delay as well. And then, of course, it's going to the bus. Just got back home, went to the beach for a bit. Perfect timing for me to join the stream. Hey, man, welcome. What's up? We're just going over my track Crystal Air, how I created it. I'm breaking it down, my thought process behind it. I figured I would be a little bit more educational today for this stream rather than just hardcore producing. So thanks, man, for hanging out. Yeah, man. How was the beach? Hope it was good. That sounds like a great idea. Sheesh. I'm not close to a beach though, but hey, if I was, well, I'm not like too far either. All right. So yeah, that's my piano, and then we're gonna go ahead and look at my ARP again. This one was sound design in 3x OSC. Just a little saw and sine wave, a little bit of detune applied to it. They both at the 24 pitch. The big deal here is you just want to make sure you come over here to your envelope and set instrument settings, and then make sure you mess with these knobs. It's like the best way I can really explain it, but it's not the best way, but it's like the fastest way I guess I could explain it. But really, you want to mold your ADSR, which is attack, decay, sustain, release. You want to mold these to make it represent the sound you want it to be. So I made this to be like a little blip. And, like you can see because it's a sharp cut right here. And that kind of signifies, if I had a long, uh, uh, a long decay like that, that would be more indicative of like maybe it's like a chord sound or a pad sound. But basically, yeah, I have it real short and you can listen. And then I have a little bit of extraness going on here with this one. And this is a little cute function in the miscellaneous functions. And this is native to FL Studio. So you could be able to pull this off in your own DAW if you use a different one. But you just have to go about it with probably a third-party delay, or maybe you can actually do it with their stock delay as well. I don't know. But anyways, you go to delay mode and you turn it up, turn it on, turn everything on. And you want to turn that delay pitch up to 1200 cents. And what that does is, well, you kind of guessed it by now. It makes each delay go up an octave, each little note of the delay. And I think this is a really cool thing. I know there's other things out there that do this, but you could do this like so fast and on the snap, and you could really create just super interesting little particle effects. Maybe that's what I should start calling them, as particle effects, sound particle effects. But you can really create cool sound particle effects by messing with the feed or the pitch of your delay. And this has been around in FL for a while, and it's super. There's things like this inside of FL that are they're mind-blowingly amazing, and this is one of them, in my opinion. Same with the arpeggiator; it's really good. Just the coolest part. This is just really cool. So, anyways, yeah, so I made this entirely inside of 3x OSC. We turn the phase randomness up. We link it to a mixer track. We turn it down a little bit because, it's loud. And then, yeah, there's a lot of EQ going on. And then on top of that, now I have an external third-party delay into my mixer, which is making the delay even further. Okay, so now I'm not just delaying it on, I'm not just delaying it inside of the 3x OSC. I'm delaying it even inside of the mixer itself. And that's something to keep in mind. So if we like turned off the mixer, or we could just turn off the delay really. I'll turn off the filter too. So I mean, it's already good, but now we're like, we'll say I wanted to just give it a little bit more of an extra flair or a little bit extra. That's where the delay's coming in. And this gives that a little bit of an extra spice, you know. Hey, Burger Mode from Twitch. Hey, Z8phyR, happy weekend to you. Hey, man, uh, more fabulous and happy weekend to you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. Much appreciation to you. How'd your stream go the other night? I tuned in, man. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep, or I don't know what happened, but I was tuned in. It was sounding good. I just ended up. I do try to support though, man. It was looking good, and I was enjoying it actually. So you guys be sure to check out Booger Mode on Twitch, twitch.tv/Booger Mode. Right there, you see him. He does FL streams as well, and it has fantastic sound, really does. So be sure you guys check him out when you get a chance, and show some love to the community of musicians that are on Twitch. All right, so the next little piece here we're gonna go over is this one, this little tiny little piece right here, and I really like these kind of little effects. I just call them frills. I don't really know what they're called, but you know, it's the same kind of. I used the same method of creating the first art for creating this one. So you can look at probably um, um, actually, never mind. I changed my mind here. I didn't use the same effect. What I did was I kind of recreated the effect inside of the piano roll itself more than creating the effect externally using delay. And I'll explain what this means. So really, like you see how this is usually this is like a short, like 1 bar note here. Not even 1 bar, I guess like a fourth of a bar. But I have the entirety of this little piece going before it even finishes 1 bar. And then how I accomplished that was we can just do the paint here. I don't think it makes noise. So basically I do it like this. I do it like this where I control shift or yeah, control click all these and have them highlighted. And then you see these little arrow that comes in and I squeeze it in so it fits into one little section almost perfectly. See something like that, and then you see that's how I kind of get it. Now this one, I think I actually had this like stretched out over the course of like 2 bars, and then I squished it in. But the theming of it is all the same. And then rather than adding like the inbuilt sampler delay, what I did was just crank the delay up in here, threw it through some filter EQ, and of course it's being sidechained. So it gives it that sound, you know. It's hard to explain, but you get it. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm making a cover for a follower so he can perform online. Never tried to remake before, so I'm learning a ton. Ooh. Yeah, that's actually how I learned a lot about creating this genre. I just used to remake one of my favorite songs over and over and over until I kind of figured out what I was doing. It really did. That's literally how I was like learning how to make a lot of this stuff before I started getting weird with it. I need to know like the standard way of doing it, and then I was like, oh, okay, this is how. Okay, now I'm gonna do what I want. As with everybody does that. I know for sure. I'm convinced. Okay, the third ARP here. I don't even know if this is really an ARP. Yeah, it is. Okay. All right, so basically, yep, this is the same thing here, but what I done here was instead of using a 3x OSC, I used a Spire at VST. We chose +1 because that's what we were feeling at the time, but you could choose any one you want. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you like. That's really how it works. So I like this one. I edited these knobs a little bit here. We might have increased the decay a little bit and turned the release up. That's one of the most two common things I do when it comes to messing with presets. I love and of course, I mess with the filters until they sound right. But I love to make sure that the delay and decay and releases are on point with what I'm trying to hear, whatever that is. And that's really it. And then we have it, of course. The big deal about it's not really so much the VST as far as what I did here in the mixer because we did a lot of like delay work, EQ, we shaped it, and these are actually 3 different filters. So we got a low pass, a high pass, and a phaser. This is a phaser. So we crank a phaser up when this phaser comes in during the bridge. So it just kind of zoop, and I have this automated so that it turns on at a certain point and it turns off because I don't want it phasing the entire track. So that's how you can work with your effects where you might want to phase them or do something special for a little bit. Well, just automate the plugin in, turn it on, turn it off. You can even unmute, mute like this, and it'll work as well. And that's really how the ARPs all go in. The real way to understand and I guess appreciate them is you just have to hear them all in context together with the track. But we're just going to keep going down to pieces here. The pad is real simple. Yep, it's just the E piano pad that I have found from Expand. Literally 2 notes. It's because it's filtered. It's filtered and it's running. I'm running it through a external volume. And what the external volume is doing is just making it so I can kind of fade it in a little bit better. You can do that even through, people do it usually not through automation, but they usually do it through the channel events. So you do it like this and they'll like channel event it in, and that's fine, but I just don't like messing with the event editor. If I can afford to never mess with it, I never would. So that's why I don't even mess with the event editor unless I have to. But basically, only thing I have the pads designed to do is just kind of bring in the end portions of each of my phrases. So you can see like the pads they're not just going throughout the entire song. Instead, they kind of highlight the sections. All right, and then if that doesn't make sense, just think of how you when you make drums you always have a little like something that happens at the end of your 16 or something. This is kind of the same kind of way of looking at it when you make your instrument, your arrangement. Well, at the end of your 16 of your arrangement, you can have a little bit of something fill up the space a little bit more so you can let it go. That way they can appreciate or feel the change a little bit without being interrupted. Because as you can see, it's just a pad. It's not like drums are stopping, or maybe they are, but not like a lot of different other things too. It's really just the pad is kind of leading in that little change right there. And this is a way to kind of help blend these little sections of your track together by using these little use like pad changes. A big deal what I use is well filters. I use a lot of filter changes. So you see how low pass is low passing out this section into low passing and into the next. And it's a lot of that going on in my music, but it's all intentional. And because this is how the progressive house works. You want to progress the sound, and then you also want to like degress it. But it probably doesn't sound cool to say degressive, but you really do. You can't just have it progress in and stay there the whole time unless you've got a plan for it. So we're progressing things inside of this melody, and this is what makes it so melodic in the melodic progressive house world, because we're not just trying to bring elements in and throw them all at you. It's a lot of things coming in and going away, coming in and going away. It's like the waves hitting the shore kind of feel. So really push, lap, pull back. And we do that a lot. This is kind of the production style that we aimed for here is like a push with the waves and then we pull back. But it's not like we just let gravity pull it back. We don't need to yoink it back. So keep that in mind. You're not trying to force the issue on the listener. Rather, you let the song cascade the listener. And this is kind of the aim with these arps and pads and melodies and stuff is we want to cascade it into the track and wash it over our listener and then let it wash away. And it kind of goes in like that. It's kind of like a almost meditative. That's why this is good for background music. That's why this is good for like meditative tasks because of that, because it has that where it brings you to a point and then it pulls you back down a little bit. So that's how the pads were made. And then we're going to go ahead and go to the melody here, which the melody is actually not even expressed that much here, the true melody, I should say. But we can look at it here. And, you won't hear this until you're about 3 or 4 minutes into the track. 3 minutes into the track is when it comes in. So that's something to keep in mind too. That's why like it's really difficult sometimes to make short melodic progressive house tracks because you really can spend a lot of time just progressing elements around before you even get to what's called like the main event, so to speak. But I'm learning. It's a learning process, and it is a game of of length. You can't go too far, but you do want to have enough time to say what you want to say. But I think you can make it as fast or as short as you want. The length really doesn't matter. I just don't really like do radio mixes. I guess they're all right, but I'm just not a fan of them. But I think the length of it doesn't matter because the melody doesn't come until 3 minutes into the track, and then you only hear it for a little bit, and then that's it. So it's not even it's not even played a lot, and that's something to think about. And here's another thing. This is more like an ARP. This Melody 2. I just call it Melody 2, but it's more like a fourth ARP. But we'll listen to that here. And with this one, let me pull this. It's like, well, I guess it is more. It is more like the melody, I guess. It's like the melody ARP, I guess. But it kind of really cements what I was trying to do. With whatever with the ARPs, it kind of makes it a little bit more grounded. So when this comes in, this really defines the track. It brings it all together because it has a lot of mid and it kind of reinforces the notes a little bit on the proper places. So what I picked here was just same thing, E piano, randomness with the stuff, but like I said, sustain, release, decay. Those are my go-tos when I go to these. I may change things like these parameters are made to be messed with. Let's just say that, okay? So if you have these things, if you have Spire, just start messing with stuff. Like it's more likely it'll be interesting than not. So um, just keep that in mind there. Just because you might pull up an E piano next to it and you go, hey, his doesn't sound nothing like his E piano doesn't sound like my E piano pad, just because I've really twisted stuff around, and yeah, you should do that too. All right, silly question: did you make color all of your templates? The colors organizations are amazing. Boogamode, I've got a special surprise for you, my friend. I do. I have them on my website for you to download and use if you would like. I'm going to put the link in here. Um, I might just even know it. Okay, that might be the link. I just typed it from memory. But anyway, if that is the link, it is on my, if not, Z8phyR.com. Let's go to tutorials. I'm gonna change that to resources. Go to tutorials, and it's under tutorials. It's free, and yeah, if they're useful, I have 4 different colors. This is just one of the colors, but this is how I do all my tracks and start all my tracks from a lot of progressive house. But I feel like they could be useful for anybody out there that may want to use a template for their tracks. So yeah, you can download that if you want, man, and it's just a pay what you want, but you don't have to. You really don't. Just download them if they're useful. And I just hope they help. That's really the big deal, more than anything else. Okay, so yeah, let's go to the mixer here for the melody. And it's real simple here, not much going on. It's just some EQ and then a filter and a side chain. And of course, we got a little bit of verb. There's the EQ. There's some more post EQ because these are problematic areas anyways for musicians that are producing. You do have to, from your like low mid to high mid, basically is just it's work for mixers. Let's just say that. I don't know. I don't care who you are. You've got to dial that stuff in pretty tight. And then that's really it though. Far as like the melodies go, there's a little third melody here. There's a third melody right here. And this was all simply just a counter melody, basically something interesting and unique and special to add into the bridge. That's my only reasoning for putting that in. And yeah, I did it on purpose, just to add a little bit of a different, view of the bridge, different sound that kind of occupy the bridge area. All right, bass. Could probably use a little bit more work, but I was okay with this at the end of the day. Basically, it got the message down, but I probably could have brought this down a little bit more. We could EQ out this a little bit more, but it's always like that. Hindsight is 2020. That's why I try to act like everything's intentional no matter what. Anyways, so yeah, my whole idea though was just something bouncy and groovy with the bass. The bass, of course, is the definitive movement of the track, but it just defines really how you feel and how you want the energy to be with it. And that's why I choose these kind of bass lines a lot. All right. So, the beginning of the bass line is, it's just like normal do do do. But you see the little second half of the phrase? We're following that same kind of mentality here where I added a little bit more to it. But then it goes back down to the normal. So I add a little bit of an upward little swoop to it. You see, I have a little upward swoop to it right there on the second half, on the little gray portion. And this is kind of, and then like here, the last 3 notes kind of bring it back up. So, the bass isn't just doom, 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 doom. Like basically it's giving you a little bit of play. And I do think that it's important that you let your bass play around at some point in the music. Like the bass a lot. You notice though the movements aren't as crazy, but even then, though, like that's also a rule that's made to be broken as well. Like some people do some amazing stuff. The thing I say about basses is try to keep yourself in the key, like whatever it is, and then like use the probably the octaves above and probably like the fifth or whatever the middle is. But those are just tips. Like anything works. Whatever like sounds cool, man. Like when I be making basses, I always imagine this bass playing dude in my brain is over here jamming out, and he's playing it like that, so I've got to like put it out like he says it, kind of thing. So this is just my personal kind of take on the bass, but everybody has a very good take on it. You know, everybody has a wonderful take on their basses and stuff. So, you know, feel free to be expressive with each part of your track. Just learn, you know, you can see how learning your simple part of your stuff is going to keep you in the creative box. So this is why I'm like always like, yeah, you know, stay in your box of creativity, so to speak, because you know, like the possibilities are so limitless that if you don't put yourself into something, you're just gonna be going down 19 different rabbit holes before you, you know, you'll figure something out. Which is honestly, that's not bad either. Don't get me wrong, but you know, it's also like don't you need to finish the track as well because progress matters. So finish that tune, push it through to completion, export it. You need to hear that sound, that doo doo, whatever it is. Export it and get it done, you know, because that's what gets you to be a better musician, you know. That's what makes you make your next song better. You'll never be better worrying about it now, worrying about what all the stuff here and you know, that's why I think feedback is scary too. I don't know if you know, you should do feedback on unfinished works. I guess I should say that. You shouldn't ask for feedback on unfinished works. Feedback on stuff that you're done with is wise, but not stuff that you're not done with. I think that's not good. Because I know, I think it's because it gives you too many reasons to cut out. That's the reason why I don't suggest it. I'm not saying it's bad, but I don't think it's good if you're not one to finish a lot of tracks about that. Let's look at it from that angle. So okay, let's look at our mixer. Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. I just have a little bit of sidechain and a little bit of filter. This is a high pass filter, by the way. And then yeah, basically it just filters out into the bridge. It comes in a little bit on the end and filters out towards the end. So it's nothing too complicated. You know, I just have that there just for a little bit of a control, extra control. And that really is the meat of it. But we can go over the bass line for the bridge section. And then that, you know, that's, you know, like this is what you do. I just copied it down and essentially I sustained it out. Uh, this is how the patch looks for my first bass. This is how the patch looks. Actually, this is a new patch, but usually I copy it out or I make a new patch. In this case, I made a new patch. We bring down the master pitch a little bit here and we play with these sub-frequency harmonics, sub-harmonic knobs, okay? Keep playing around with those until you find the sound you desire. Same with your unison, pan, pitch, phase variant. All these knobs are made for you to play with, and I would suggest you mess around with them until you find something you like, especially when it comes to making basses. You might be able to make something really interesting. Another thing here is there's an attack coming up a little bit and there's a release a little bit, but I have no filter envelope being applied, and I think I manually control this either via automation or actually I just do a volume automation here, so I don't even control the frequency, filter frequency, and that's okay. That's like, you know, that's perfect. We have a little bit of EQ here dipping out of the bass and the low mids areas, and then I have it being automated. This is a volume automation for resend. It's just real light, easy peasy, so it just makes it easy for me to automate the volume really fast without being too technical or weird or worrying about like accidentally messing with my mixer knob or something. But either way, you can even automate this. This is fine. However you want to do it. There's so many ways to skin a cat here. You know, you don't have to be specific. All right, and then let me go ahead and go to the drums. Kick is just, you know, there's some EQ applied to the kick here where I trimmed out a little bit of the treble, high mids, highs areas. And then this right here is a another EQ section I added on top. I have a couple of filters. These are actually a couple of filters, I think. Oh no, I think one of them is just a high, just a, you know, just a trimming off the low end of the kick, and the other one is actual filter. Yeah. Yeah. I have it monoed here, merged, and then that's really about it. It's just kind of the meat of the track, but basically, let me find it. Let me find it. Really, the big work with my kicks is always in the sampler. I do a lot of my work with my kick processing and stuff inside of the sampler, and it's I don't know how to really explain it that well, but there's just a lot of things you're looking for. You're kind of trimming the tail of your kick more than anything. Be careful with super long kicks if you're going to be having, I don't know, really long, like they shouldn't match each other. It should be counteractive. So for me, I kind of prefer short kicks with not too much of either. So it takes a lot of tweaking, like the out knob. There's like effects I mess with. Um, Even the filter frequencies, you can mess with these knobs a little. Everything in here kind of can mess around and help you kind of do it. So this isn't the way it sounded when it came out of the stock, but we did a lot of little processing stuff inside of the sampler, and that's what made the kick sound like this. Like that. And then I have this is just a little high pass filter, and I see it comes in a little bit at different little parts during the track. So it's just so when I'm fading it out or putting little elements in, the kick comes in like that. Here is the hats. Same thing here. I do a lot of my work on my hats and drums inside of the graph editor and inside of the step sequencer and the sampler. So most of these are panned and these knobs are messed with. I even started messing with these now to stereo delay and reverb them out. But they're panned, and a lot of these, you go to the graph editor and you can see the velocity on each of these are messed. So they're not all the same, like this one. Same with, oh, this one is the same. This one isn't. But you can see that the velocities are a little bit different here, where this is what gives you a little bit more of that humanistic quality. And then we have a little bit of a swing going on. So it's the main swings at 19, 20%. 15 to 20 is what I like to stick with. But either way it goes, you do what you want. Just know that, we got to add a little bit of variation, a little bit of human error, so to speak, inside of it, intentional human error. So that way you add a little bit of that organic rhythms inside of your hats, okay? Here's a percussive sound. So you can see that a lot of this is just all like volume controlled. Each note is velocity controlled a certain way. And I can't express or I can't say how important that is to you making your stuff sound unique to whatever it is you're trying to do. Because I will never be able to make it sound the way you do, and I will never make those volume choices that you make for yours. So keep that in mind, that the velocities of each little note of your drums, hits, and percussive elements do matter, and you should pay attention to them. The velocity and the spacing, left or right spacing, okay? And then you could do post-processing afterward, like some EQing or stereo shaping or anything like that. But really, just put them in there where they sound decent for you and are not overbearing and over loud. It's better to be a little bit low, I believe, than too loud with percussions because they can get a little bit grating fast. So you just gotta be careful. And then there's a loop. And then this loop right here is just it's just a little standard loop I pull in, but you can see right here. I chopped out, so it's just the beginning being repeated across, okay? In this way, I can give a little bit more control to the loop itself, and it's chopped up so it doesn't I don't have to work with it all that way. So, you can do things like make little cuts and chops and stuff on your drum loops, make it sound a little bit better. It makes it sound a little bit more unique and organic to what you're trying to do, because every little bit of detail does matter. White noise, this kind of like, you know, but basically, white noise is just what you think it is. It's made pretty much the same way for all the tracks. I control the modulation through a love filter, and I use it through 3x OSC to generate my white noise. So, if you want to use another filter or generator to make a white noise, it's completely fine. They're all the same, I believe, but this just doesn't take like 0.01% of your CPU to use these 3x OSCs, so that's why I use them a lot. But it really doesn't matter. The big deal is make sure you have a filter of some sort being applied to your white noise. Make sure you EQ it. EQ again if you need to. And then, of course, control the volume somehow. So this is just a volume send I use, but either way it goes. If you want to use the mixer volume knob to control it or do it internally inside of that, that's fine. As long as you control it, as long as you pay attention, as long as you are aware of it. The awareness is key. And then, of course, for sound effects, it's really just kind of whatever you place in, but we decided to go with some cool little ocean, beach, summer waves. Yeah, that sounds nice. So we just threw that in there. We thought it sounded good, but we didn't. The big thing to understand is we just don't want to overpower what we're trying to do with these sound effects or like these little like nature effects and stuff. They should be used sparingly, not too much. Very few instances, once or twice. This is probably a little too much, but I was having fun, and that's okay. You can break that rule as well. People do, but the idea is it kind of is supposed to really kind of like wash over you on certain parts of the track, and that feeling will get kind of numbed out if it's just playing throughout over and over. All right, so that's really it. And yeah, that's really it here. Basically, though, the most important thing I want to point out to people is I didn't use any kind of chords, like no plucks or nothing for this track. I could have thrown some in there, but I decided not to because it sounded good without them. And I really like how it turned out. I thought it turned out great, and I enjoyed it. So I hope this was useful and informative to you. This project file will be on my website, Z8phyR.com. If you are a subscriber to me on Twitch, this will be free for you. But if not, it'll be priced at $10. And it just helps support me in my career as a musician and now a streamer. It just helps support these aspects of my career. So if you still want me to keep delivering you content, help bringing you more music and all of the above, please just send me a like, comment, subscription. Come follow me at twitch.tv/Z8phyR. Make sure you are subscribed. Hit that notification bell for me, please. That way, you'll know whenever I go live again or I post a new video. But at the very least, come join me in my Discord, Z8phyR.com/Discord. Come be a part of the journey. And if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to put them in there for me in the Discord or just drop them in chat whenever I am streaming. I will do my best to answer them at my earliest convenience. And yeah, thank you all so much. Sending you all much love and happiness. Thank you again. I will catch you all on the next one. Bye, everybody.